Hi everyone, hi lovelies, hi fam, how are you guys doing? Hope you are all doing amazing. I totally missed every single one of you. Guess what? In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you the recipe to my favorite pastry of all time, which is Ghana meat pie. Okay, I am going to be sharing with you how I make Ghana meat pie and a twist, which is I'm not going to be baking it in an oven. I'm going to be using an air fryer. Very interesting, right? So stay tuned and enjoy. So guys, as usual, I'm going to begin by taking you guys through the ingredients we are going to be using for today's recipe. I'm going to be showing you one by one what we'll be needing. And I have here 1 cup of margarine. I have here milk powder. The exact measurements are going to be in the description box. I also have here some baking powder. And I have here some salt, which you're going to be using, okay? Also here is my all-purpose flour, and then this here is my corned beef and sausage, which I have chopped into tiny pieces. For my vegetables, I have scallions, carrots, onions, and bell pepper. Here are some of our salient ingredients we are going to be using. So let's start. So I'm going to be putting everything into my big mixing bowl. So I started by adding in my all-purpose flour. Then I'm going to be turning in my margarine. You can also decide to use butter in the same quantity. It turns out the same, okay? So I'm adding in my margarine, which is actually cold. Your margarine has to be very cold from the fridge, okay? Then you just mix it in into your flour very well till it becomes fine. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh. So at this point, I'm now going to be adding in my powdered milk. I've added that in. I'm also turning in my baking powder, and then I'll also be adding in my salt, and then just mix everything together. So I have created a little well in the middle of my mixture, and I am going to add in my cold water in bits, okay? The water you are going to be using for this mixing is going to be cold water from the fridge. So I added in my cold water, and then this is my second batch of water, and then you just mix it all in. So last, the exact measurements of all the ingredients I'm using is going to be in the description box, okay? I noticed anytime I upload a recipe that needs precise measurements, I keep on getting comments and DMs asking about the measurements. Please, the measurement is always going to be in the description box. Thank you. Now that I have mixed everything together, I'm just going to cover it with a cling film and then let it sit for a while. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. While the mixture is sitting and resting, we are going to be making our meat pie filling, okay? So I started by adding in some vegetable oil into a pan on fire. And then I'm adding in my chopped onions. I'm going to be frying this till the onion becomes caramelized. After it becomes caramelized, I'm going to be adding in my corned beef, my sausages. I'm going to stir fry it, add in the rest of my vegetables while I just stir fry it. For your meat pie filling, you don't want it to be too spiced, so you need very little spices. You can use whatever spice you want to your discretion, but I used curry powder and salt, and that was it. Okay, I just used those two spices and then I stir fried everything together. So at this point, I am adding in some cornstarch so that the filling can be moist because it was looking dry. I know some people like their meat pie filling dry, okay? So if you like your meat pie filling dry, you can leave it like that. But if you are like me and like a filling moist like this, you add in the cornstarch, okay? Okay, it's about 10 minutes later and we are going to finish with our crust, okay? So now our dough has started and rested for a while. I am going to take it out and then divide it and then just roll it out. You can choose to roll the whole thing out and then cut it into the various individual pieces, but it's just easier for me to first divide it while it's in this state, then I individually roll it. So do whatever suits you, but it was easier for me. But I don't wanna miss you, babe. While we do that, is this your very first time here on my channel? If that's the case, then hi, you're welcome. You're going to have a lot of fun here. You're going to learn a lot together. So please join the family by clicking on the subscribe button and then click on the notification bell right beside it so that any and every time I upload a video, you are first to get notified, okay? And if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know how we do it. Thank you so much for coming back, and I hope you are enjoying learning and having fun. You're some kind of butterfly, baby. You give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. So now that I have rolled it to my desired flatness, I'm just going to be using this lid to cut out my circle crust, okay? You can use any round object. You can use a cup. You can use any round object. I'm going to use this lid and my pizza cutter to cut out my circle crust, okay? You can also choose to just press the lid on the dough. You press it on it very hard and it's just going to cut out. You don't have to use any pizza cutter or knife or anything of the sort. It's easy as that, okay? So now I'm just going to repeat the same process till I have all my pieces rolled out and my circles cut out. I'm going to repeat the same thing over and over again. I'm sure you are wondering what then is going to happen to the part I'm cutting out. There is nothing going to go with, okay? If you thought I was going to throw it away, nope. I'm going to mold it together into a ball, roll it again, and then cut out as many circles as I can from it, okay? So I'm just going to keep on molding it till I use almost everything. I'm not going to waste any part of it. The next thing you'd want to do is break an egg into a bowl and whisk it. I'm going to be using this egg as my sealing, and I'm also going to be using it to brush the top of the meat pie when I'm done folding it, okay? You can choose to use plain water for the sealing. It still works perfectly, trust me, but I just wanted to use the egg, so I use that for the sealing, and I'm going to be using the rest of it to braise the top of the pie when I am done folding it. So the technique for folding your pie is you take a generous amount of your filling, put it into the middle of your crust, and then just flip it over and then you press it, okay? You press onto it to seal it, or you can choose to use a fork to press onto it to seal it. I'm going to be showing you how to do that in a bit, so you can choose to use either your fingers or a fork. I was very generous with my filling because that is how I like my Ghana meat pie. You know, sometimes the one you go and buy outside, because they are selling it for commercial purposes, the filling is not so generous. But since I'm doing this one for myself at home, I can be very, very generous with the filling. So I was generous with the filling. I flipped it over, and then you seal with either your fingers or your fork. It works perfectly either ways. So now I'm going to be taking my fork and then poking the top of my pie so that the heat can get into the filling, cook inside very well, and also so that the pie does not explode or open up in the oven. Okay, so you're just going to use your fork to poke it a little at the top, and then I'm just going to use my egg wash to braise the top. You can also decide to add milk to your egg wash while braising the top. It's fine either ways. Then after that, I am going to put the amount of pie that can enter my air fryer into it and start baking. Okay, the air fryer is actually very, very small, so I could only bake 4 at a time. So I baked it at 190 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. Okay, and because air fryer heats from the top, I felt like the top was cooked and the bottom part was not really cooked after 15 minutes. So what I did was I flipped it over. Okay, I flipped it over and I put it back into the air fryer at 190 degrees Celsius for another 5 minutes to have it cooked on both the top side and the bottom part, and it turned out amazing. It was well cooked. You might not have the luxury of time to keep on making pie crust, pie filling every time you want to eat meat pie, okay? So what I'm going to advise is that you make a big batch at a time, then the rest of it, you keep it in Ziploc bags and keep it in the freezer. Anytime you want to eat pie, just remove it out, let it store, and then you bake it in your air fryer. You would have your pie fresh and hot every time, okay? So you see, my loves, meat pie is actually very, very, very easy to make, and even if you don't have an oven, you can use an air fryer and it turns out amazing. It actually uses less time to bake in an air fryer than in an oven. Okay, if it was an oven, it would take about 30 to 45 minutes to bake very well, but with the air fryer I used 20 minutes and it was well baked. Please try this recipe out. Please try it with an air fryer if you have one, and let me know how it turns out. Okay, thank you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and share this video with all your friends, family, or your loved ones. Okay, till our next video, bye.